Hi, I'm Alec, and I coach overthinking high performers in how to turn their brilliant procrastination into unstoppable execution so they can grow meaningful and successful businesses. Now, if you have ever started a business or launched a new product, you have felt a fog of war, an area where there's all sorts of things you could do, all sorts of directions you can go, but you don't know what moves the needle. So you're trying this and you're trying that and you're going back and forth and it feels like you're running around in circles and you just wish that you could have a clear path. All right, I just want to know what I need to do to be successful. Well, I had one of those experiences at a conference this week where all of a sudden I saw that next version of myself, that version of myself that not only knows things I don't, but can do things I can't and is getting results that I'm not right now. So I saw that at a conference and I'm gonna break that down for you with some ideas of how you can try and have that experience in your life, how you can see the next version of you, that better version of you that is going to take your business to the next level. So disclaimer, I am not actually talking about habits today. I'm talking about something that's complementary. A lot of times I like to break things down, make them manageable, try and find a few small things every week that I can optimize, do a little bit better, or add in one new habit into my routine every week, etc. I am all about making things manageable, doing them in small chunks. However, this video is about the one thing you can't do in small chunks, and it's a complement to habits. If you have the right habits, this becomes easier to do, to have these types of experiences where you see the next version of you that allows you to clarify everything, that finally allows you to sprint to the next level rather than muddling around, right? So the right habits can help prepare you for this. And once you have this experience, if you really want to get those next results and that transformation, you're going to have to translate this experience back into habits. But that clarity that you get from seeing exactly what you need to do next, that doesn't come from making small efforts. That comes from going all out. So I recently went all out for a conference. As an overthinker myself, I often find conferences very overwhelming. Especially, this is the most terrifying moment for me, right? When the speaker stops or you've had lunch and then people are milling around. Wait, who do I talk to? What do I do? There's too many options. The options are overwhelming. I start overthinking. And I knew going into this conference that that would be one of my key problems. Actually, what would be the key problem is the stress. I would get too much in my head. I would overthink. And then I either wouldn't talk to anybody, I'd hide. I have done that at past conferences, all right? Or even if I was being outgoing and talking to people, I would be a little bit more awkward. I'm great with small groups. I'm great one-on-one. I am less great in that big context. I would, who knows, maybe look a little dazed or shell-shocked or whatever it is, because my brain would just be overloaded. So I had to figure out a way to cut through the noise a little bit and be at my best. And this is where the habits come in. To help me run all out for this conference, I designed things that I could be doing. I mean, there's 2 days in the conference, every day at the conference, that I could be doing each day of the conference and throughout to be at my best. And some of those things are like the basic energy habits I help people with. So every morning, every morning I woke up at 4 a.m., which is ridiculously early, and I wasn't sleeping very well, and I didn't have a ton of control over that. I'm used to waking at 6 a.m. and I was 2 time zones earlier. But what I did have control over, for example, was once it was light around 6 or 6:30, going out, getting sunlight, doing my breathing exercises and some yoga to wake up, and then doing some VR boxing, so some intense aerobic exercise, so that I was getting the maximum possible energy. So I did that because one of the things that you're going to run into if you are overthinking, right, is you're going to get tired, you're going to get burnt out. If the more energy you have and the more alert your brain can be, the more you can be present rather than overthinking at the conference. So I had that in place, but there was other things because I knew, again, how do I talk to people who have similar interests? How do I find them? Well, I had an idea. My idea was pins on my jacket. So I had pins with my interests on them so people could come up to me and talk with them. And I experimented in different configurations. And I'll dive more into this, what worked, what didn't work for me at the conference in another video. So if you want conference tips and networking tips from another overthinker, from one overthinker to you, to make it more easy to help you have more connections, go ahead and subscribe and you will catch that video. I plan on releasing that next week because it was really helpful. And I even have a few ideas for what to do even better next week. Those were examples of what I was doing at the conference, and it works. It worked great. I talked to more people than any other conference I'd been to. I had more people to follow up with, including like specific offers of things, ways that I would help them, or asks for them to help me. It was great. It was brilliant. It was a huge step forward. And yet, I only talked to a handful, dozens of people in a conference of thousands. There was so much more that I could do. There's so much more that I could have done to help people. There are people I wanted to have a chance to and didn't get to have, didn't run into, have a chance to. I wanted to help them. Someone who, didn't know how to use this software and asked a question about it in one of the Q&A sessions. I'm like, oh, I do that. I want to find that person, right? And so I saw how much more that I could have done. So that is where the magic happens. Doing everything that I can and seeing how much more there is to do, and having an anxiety attack, not like full blown, not out of control, because my habits are dialed in. Even habits of recovering in the evening, I dialed that in. So it was not out of control, but I was feeling really anxious. So since I am a chronic overthinker, I realized I would need a space, quiet space with solitude after the conference, a day to myself. As much as I love my wife and kids, if I were to come home right after the conference, I would immediately be doing all sorts of stuff around the house. I would be in a different headspace. I wouldn't be able to put everything together. So I started this day at 4 a.m. because I still could not sleep in, and started writing out my content strategy at like 4:30 or something, and notes and ideas and everything. And as this came to me, I started to feel anxious. I was hoping as I put things together, right, that aha moment would feel great. It would feel like, I am so brilliant, I'm the master of everything. That is not how a real business epiphany often feels. It felt like anxiety. So this clarity that you get, that does not come from feeling in control or like suddenly knowing everything. It comes from seeing all you have yet to do, and it comes with a lot of anxiety, right? That clarity. But that clarity that also allows you to sprint to the next level super fast, right? That comes from putting all out effort into 3 key areas. So area 1 is doing all you know how to do. What that looks like in the conference for me, for example, is not only researching about the speakers who are going to be there and the content so that I could speak intelligently with people, or research blogs on like how to network, or think about questions that I would ask people about what they were doing to get past the superficial level. There's all that regular stuff that I was doing, but I was going all out. I was trying like the pins idea, for example, to get people to talk to me, and I was super thrilled. Like, it worked great. I might turn that into a t-shirt of some kind for future conferences, we'll see. But I was trying absolutely everything I knew how. So there was no wishy-washy wondering like, oh, well, what would have happened if I just tried that, right? I had new ideas. I saw things that worked and didn't work there at the conference. But I had the clarity of knowing like, this is all the things I know how to do. And here's some things that I need to research because I have no clue how to do them. Or that came up at the conference and none of my habits adapted me for that situation, right? So doing all you know how to do is one dimension of effort. Another dimension of effort is how much work you're putting in, right? How much energy you're putting in. This is how many hours, how many reps, how much are you doing? At this conference, I talked to more people than I had talked to at any other conference. And that's part of what was so helpful. I got a lot of feedback on myself as a coach, as well as projects that I'm working on, like my VR project. And a lot of that came from the volume of conversations I was willing to have and spending all day, every day focused on being better at one thing, which is how to build a social media following, specifically with video, how to build your brand with video. So that is the effort I was putting through. And for me, that does not look like never taking a break, right? I was talking with people at lunch, but I had my time in the morning and time in the evening to reset, and that was critical for being able to spend maximum energy during the day and during the events. Just pure volume of effort, right? Pure volume of energy. Are you putting all your energy into this task? That's dimension 2 of going all out. And dimension 3 of going all out, I think a lot of times people do 1 and 2, right? And I do this, right? I'm focused on all that I can do. I go off and do something cool all by myself. But you can speed up what you can do so much faster by involving other people, by asking them for help or offering to help them by asking questions, by just explaining who you are, giving them your mission statement and seeing how it lands, being able to do that. Obviously, I was doing a ton of that at the conference. And that combination is, for me, everything I can do. And that includes not just the things that I can do myself, but the feedback from other people. I was getting feedback, not only from the speakers who, at least on a low level, were responding to whether I, as part of the audience, was like quiet or clapping or whatever, right? I was connecting with them, and also the people I was talking to next to me. And if I were to just work super hard on my own, like just my own brain, my own work, I wouldn't have gotten all of those insights of the things that I'm not doing, right? That would have helped me realize some of the things I'm doing that's not successful, because I would have done them and tried them out, but I wouldn't know what I wouldn't know. And so some of the tactics that I got to see that I had never tried before really came from these outside exterior sources. And a lot of it, again, what will work for me or what people respond to, you can't get that from a YouTube video. You actually need to talk to somebody, have the back and forth, see the reaction. In person, much more powerful than over the phone or even video chat. So that was the third dimension of putting all out effort, is involving other people as much as you can. Now, why this combination of traits works, let me break it down. Think of all that you can do like a circle, and we spend most of our time in the middle doing the same things we've always been doing. And maybe the circle moves over time, we inch it one way or another. But the next level is outside of this circle. It's, if you want to get results you can't get right now, you need to be able to do things that you can't do right now. All right, and occasionally we'll do like one thing a little bit smarter or learn one little tidbit and kind of go off in this direction a little bit, but we're still not at the edge of the circle, right? Or maybe another time we'll put in a little bit more effort, a little bit more reps, or a little bit more time into that activity, right? We go a little bit this way, we're still not at the edge of the circle. Or sometimes we ask for help or get insights from other people, like just a couple people a day, don't really go all out, don't present what we have to hundreds of people, just, a couple people. How about this? Maybe recommend it, maybe like it, 1 or 2 people, right? And in this way, we're muddling around, we're in the fog of war, we're in the middle of like the very dead center of what we can do, and so we can't really see all the way out to the edges. But when you stack all 3 of these things together, right, when you're doing all that you know how to do, and you're also putting maximum effort and energy into that, and you're involving as many people as you can, all of a sudden you're right up here, right at top, right at the edge of what you can do. You're at that boundary and you're peeking over into the things that you can't yet do. And that's the magic. Now you see what you need to do. Now you see the entire path out to the edge of what you can do and beyond, and you can chart that straight path. You can sprint that. So that is the magic of putting all these things together. Now, of course, you need the right project for this to work. If you have a project that doesn't require all of your brains or all of your energy, or for you to involve a lot of people, you won't get to the limit of what you can do. You won't be able to peek over that line, right? So you need a project that you are not going to finish, that you are not going to succeed at. You're not going to get an A on it. You're going to do as much as you can and see how much more there is left to do. And that is uncomfortable. We avoid that. We don't want to feel like we're not enough. But that is exactly the problem. If we don't want to actually see what we can't yet do, if we're not open to that, then we're not going to transform. We're not going to get to that next level. And so that is the magic sauce, doing everything that you can do, all you know how to do, all of your energy, involving as many people as you can on a project that you can't exhaust. And, for me, I was never going to talk to all 2,000 or 1,200 or however many it was at that conference, right? I couldn't talk to everybody. But what I could do is use that as a benchmark for trying everything I knew how to do, applying all of my energy and getting all of the feedback that I could from other people, and then see how much left there is for me to do. Whew. Yeah, that was the perfect project. I want to make sure this is really clear, putting everything together, okay? What I'm asking you to do is pick something big and meaningful and audacious, something worth doing well, and then do everything you can do, exhaust everything you can do, and fail to not be able to go all the way. If you could go all the way with everything that you do, your project is just simply not big enough, because the point of it is to exhaust everything you can do and see what comes next. It's really uncomfortable. That's why people don't do it. It's why I don't generally think in these terms. And after the conference, I'm now just starting to realize, this needs to be a regular part of my life. I need to intentionally do this. Because most people only come close to this when they overcommit to somebody else's project, or a project for somebody else that takes all of their know-how and energy, and they have to ask for help and involve other people, right? But the problem when you do this reactively on somebody else's project, or a project defined by somebody else, or for your clients and not necessarily what's meaningful for you and your business, right, is that you're not actually seeing the next version of you that's doing what you want to do, right? In that case, you see the next version of you that is bossed around by CEO, by clients, who's reacting, right? And that's not the next best version of you. That's the version of you that no matter how much you execute is going to be frustrated because you're working on somebody else's dream. But you need to have a vision for yourself. And that really only comes by working on something that is meaningful to you. Of course, that makes it even more uncomfortable when you're not enough and you fail, right? And so that last day at the conference where I had done all I want, and then all of a sudden could see, I want to be able to do so much more, right? When my brain went into that state, that is when I saw next Alec. All right, you actually want to be able to do more. You're not going to be defensive. You're not going to try and sit defensively in the middle of what you can do, far from the edges. You're actually willing to come out to the edges of what you can do and see the craziness beyond and everything you will have to change to get there. All right, wish granted, here you go. And so go ahead and do something audacious and meaningful to you and fail. Not intentionally, not doing less than you can, but do all that you can and see how much there is left. So this is not something I recommend you do every day or every week. Coming off of this conference experience, I'm not sure if it's going to be a conference each time, but it is something I'm going to want to try, once a quarter. I have a friend who says if I'm not pulling an all-nighter every, 1 or 2 nights a month, I'm not working hard enough. Oh, and as a parent, I'm not sure I can go that route, but I admire it, right? But you want to be doing this on some kind of regular cadence. If you're not doing it once a year, you're probably leaving a lot on the table, right? But there is a conversation between habits and then the all-out sprint experience that shows you where your limits are and what's next, what comes after those limits, and how to get there, right? So the influence is one, you see how everything I knew how to do and all of my energy involves using habits to the best of my ability, trying new things, and then doing the things I already know work for my energy level so I could put maximum attention and focus into this conference, right? So they supported me in really making this my best conference ever, right? And that was critical, because if I left that conference thinking I was tired and so I only put in, half energy, and I would wonder, all right, did it matter? How much more was there to do? How much more could I have done? I wouldn't have been able to chart that direct path to the edge of what I can do and then peak beyond, because I'd just be like knowing I know what I can do. I could, actually get some sleep, or, actually go out and get some sunshine to wake up when I can't get sleep because I wake up at 4 a.m., right? And that is the fog of war right there. It's the living in the space where you already know what you need to do and you're not doing it. And the right habits can help you perform at your max so that you can run right up to the edge of that line and see what's next for you. The other piece where this works with habits is once you have this epiphany. So now I have seen the light. I have seen the Alec that is good at social media and building a brand with video. And he's a very different Alec. He has a much bigger impact on the world, and yet he can still have those personal relationships and try and drive people not just to watch a video, but to like have a chat about habits, about their best selves, about whatever can make a difference, right? Seeing that Alec, that's great. That doesn't change my life at all, right? That epiphany, it's kind of worthless. So what I need to do is to translate that Alec into daily habits. And that's what that practice, that daily practice, is what's going to transform me into next Alec. So, all right, try something audacious, work all out, do all that you know how to do, put all your energy into it, and involve as many people as you can. Have that epiphany. I would love to hear from you about your own epiphany experiences in the comment below. That would be awesome.